here at Mountain West Media Days here with UNLV coach Dan Mullen. Really great to have you back on the show another year, Coach. Another year, another absolutely massive quarterback addition from the portal for you. After striking gold last year with Anthony Calandria, you brought in former five-star Jackson Arnold to compete with Alex Orji for the starting job. How have those guys looked through spring camp so far, and how has Arnold been adjusting to life in Vegas?
I think he's done a great job. I think one of the things that we did, to start Alex coming off the gruesome injury he had last year. It's great to have him back at 100%. So he was limited during the spring, but now he's back 100%, which we're excited to have him back. And after missing most of last season because he was doing a great job for us. Jackson did a great job. I think one of the things I've learned in today's world is coming in and really spending the first couple weeks of finding what guys do well. I've watched the film, but also sat down with Jackson, spent a lot of time together, and said, hey, let's look at what you do well. What are you comfortable with? You tell me where you think your best part of your game is, and let's tweak, even though this is what we're going to do offensively, I'm going to tweak some things. I'm going to change a couple things to your comfort level. And I think he's done, one that gave him a lot of confidence, come in and said, hey, instead of do what I tell you to do, he has say in what we're doing. And I think that's given him a lot of confidence, and I think it's allowed him to really accelerate his growth and development within the program.
For sure. So your non-conference schedule has to be the toughest in the Mountain West, and it feels like that was kind of by design. This way you can definitely maximize the resume boosting wins, but could also end up putting you guys into an early hole. If this team is going to be close to running the table and breaking through to the college football playoff, what do they have to do right from the start of the season?
We got to win. That's what it is. And we do that, like you said, it is on purpose. We want to play the toughest schedule we can play. We want to put ourselves in a position that if, obviously goal one is what we can control, which is to win the Mountain West Championship. But if we're able to win the Mountain West Championship, I want to make sure, as you said, have the resume when the discussion comes for the college football playoff, that you can look at our resume and say, boy, in group of 6 teams, this is the number one strength of schedule. In what they did and played, and they came out and won, and that they're going to be in a position to go to the college football playoff. So I think, that's why opening with Memphis week 1 as another, probably the favorite in the American Conference. North Texas, who was a team that dominated the American last year, that we wanted to have that. And then, you throw in Cal as a Power 4 team. We want to play as tough a schedule as we can play, and we want to play big games here at UNLV.
So the linebacker core is going to look very different with Marcel McDuffie no longer out there, but there's still plenty of talent in that room. Blessing Alualu Tuiolamotu is primed for a breakout year. Cam Santee was a monster at Holy Cross in 2025. How have those guys looked during spring ball, and are you at all concerned with there not necessarily being a surplus of depth, even though you have like a very strong top 8?
Well, I do think that position is deeper and better than it was last year. There were a lot of question marks last year. You had Marcel and then question marks. This year, as you mentioned, Cam Santee coming in as a veteran player, over 120-some tackles last year at Holy Cross. Played a lot of football. D. Creighton playing football at Clemson. Kamu and Blessing both back for us that played snaps last year. So I think, obviously you lose a guy that was a great player for us in the middle, but I think we're deeper. And I think that's a big thing for us at that linebacker position. Have that depth, and not just depth of guys, but experienced depth from guys coming back and hitting a couple veteran players in the portal.
So I do have to ask about what Jet Thomas means to this program. I know you weren't here for his first 2 seasons on the Strip, but he's now closing in on the school touchdown record, and he has a shot at reaching Charles Williams' rushing yard record of 4,200. In your eyes, is he up there with Randall Cunningham on the Mount Rushmore of UNLV football rebels?
I think he has to be, and especially in today's world. It is. You look at a guy, talk about being loyal to your program, loyal to your city. Because, listen, I'm not going to get on and rant and rave like some people. There are a lot of people offering him a bunch of money to leave this year. And, but you know what? He looked and said, hey, I love this program. I love the school. I love the city. I can be developed here, and I can accomplish all my goals right here at UNLV. And I think that says a lot about it. And I think, you're going to look for a guy that potentially goes to 4 straight Mountain West championship games.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're not up there. You're one of the leaders of a team that's played in a bunch of championship football games. with the career stats that he has, I think it's been pretty special. And I think it shows the character and the type of young man that he is, with the loyalty he has to the program and the city and how he believes in UNLV.
Yeah, absolutely. Like even as a I remember I think he tied the school single season rushing touchdown record as a freshman. Like he's had those offers have been there the entire time, career.
And he's like, hey, this is what's for me. And and it's great and it's refreshing in today's football world,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, I sat down and met with him. Like I do all the players at the end of the season. I said, let's go through your why. And let's help put you in a position to do what's best for you and your family. And he's like, Coach, it's here. And we're thrilled to have him leading the way on our offense this year.
Absolutely. All right. And then last question. You've also put together arguably the most talented secondary in the Mountain West. Quandarius Keys, Mumu Bin Wahad, Denver Harris, Jake Pope, Trey Fulton. And that's not even including all the guys you grabbed from the portal as well, like Avery Helm, who I know you're very high on, Landon Cleveland as well. With all of those names in that room, who's actually stood out as the leaders of that group through spring camp?
Well, I think one of the things you look at the guys that they all play, and especially the veteran guys, right? You're going to look at Mumu play to his strengths, which is very loud, boisterous personality. Trey Fulton and Jake Pope, steady veteran players that have been there on the back end. Denver Harris really grown a lot, and I look at him and I said, one of the great things here, this is the first time he's been at the same school for 2 years in a row. This is the first time you've come back to a school knowing what the standard and expectations are, and I've seen him accelerate. Avery banged up a little bit in spring. Great thing he started for me at Florida a long time, like eons ago or whenever that was. But I mean, he started for me, so I know exactly what I'm getting in him come the season. So I do think I think one of the great things, all of those guys have jumped out, but I think the maturity you have and how everybody embraces their role of what they are, where they are in their career, and of how they don't need to be somebody they're not. There's some comfort level. Right, I mean, because when I list most of those guys, this is year 2. Quandarius Keys, this is year 2 in the program, so they know what the expectations are. And then you add some of the guys, especially when you're adding an Avery, he knows the program.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like, Coach, I've lived it. I know it. I know what the standard and the expectation are.
Plug and play.
So I think it really helps us, because we got to be deep at that position, and we want to be better than we were last year in the back end.
Absolutely. All right, that's all I got, Coach. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good to see you.
Great to see you again. Good luck this year.